welcome. This is our Sunday sermons. I am Dov.
I am Nicole.
And we're Twin Flame Revolution. We're going to be doing our sermon. This is a place for you guys all to take some time to hold each other, to be in a space of love, to be in a space of reverence and contemplation, for us to talk about important things and to preach on them and to do sermon on them and to allow you guys to come into activation and remembrance and release these things, right? And if you haven't joined us before, please make sure that you call people in. So go ahead and tag your friends. Make sure that you share this video if it's resonating. And if you're new, subscribe so that you can stay connected. We are here almost every Sunday. We will not be here next week so that we can do sermon with you guys. And we love all of you so much. So jumping into the topic today, you are not doing anyone a favor. Misalignment isn't compassion. Really what we are talking about is this energy of all of the times that you either have done something or not done something, right? Stayed in a job or left a job, stayed in a relationship or left a relationship, when there was an energy of that situation that was misaligned for you. It was done for other reasons, okay? So before we even get started talking about what a big subject this is, right? And really anchoring us in some principles before we actually go into the subject. First of all, this is not a black and white situation. This is the gray, this is the dance. And when we talk about alignment, right, we're talking about what is truly right and true for your heart, your soul, your energy, your path, your purpose. So there's going to be a lot of, ways that you can confuse some of the stuff if we don't remember the principles that we're focusing on, if the action is out of alignment with you. And if you're sitting there going, well, what does alignment mean, Dov? Or how do I know if I'm in alignment? Alignment means your self-expression and the thing you're supposed to be experiencing, which is the expression of who you are. So if this is blocking you in some way or another, and then I hear you guys saying, well, what if I don't know how to do that, how to access that? That's the work that we talk about, right? The work is clearing the stuff to get you back to a center where you can actually see, understand, and know who it is that you are, so you can come back to that center and that compass.
I love that. When you're fully aligned with your heart's desires, as Deb was saying, if let's say that your career, you wanted to make it your purpose, when you're fully aligned, then you have access to peace. You have access to laughter. You have access to joy. You have access to just feeling comfortable. All the things maybe when we're not aligned, we're agitated. It doesn't feel correct, right? And so it's really beautiful. You can kind of gauge it that way in how you're feeling, right? We've talked about this before. Gauge it in, oh, wow, I made that decision. Oh, wow, I am psyched. Because imagine every day you get your chi, your energy for the day. Let's say you go and pick it up. You wake up, you pick up your box of chi, your box of energy for the day. That's your energy. That's your housed energy. And when you take that energy and you put it into the things that you love and you put it back into self, it amplifies the energy. It expands that energy. It multiplies that energy.
Yes.
Now, when we take that energy and we stuff it in worry and we stuff it in doubt and we are like, with people that aren't receiving you or people that are wanting to drain your energy, and we allow that so they don't just drain our energy, we allow it, right? All of a sudden we start dumping this beautiful energy that is your energy. And you guys know what I'm talking about, what that feels like. When we're depleted, when we're empty. And many of you want to serve, and many of you want to give. You guys are givers, right? But if you have nothing to give, and you're suffering, because you don't have to suffer, it's a very difficult place and a platform when you're like this than when you are full. And when we talk about your cup is overflowing, your cup is overflowing so that people can reach that. Even with you just showing up in your presence, being full, you can actually like that energy can be left in a room for months after you leave, giving that good to everyone that enters that room.
Oh my God, 100%, right? And so if you take, let's say you're tired, you're exhausted, you don't want to take that phone call, you take that phone call and you answer that call frustrated, resentful, irritated, and maybe you attack that person, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a family member, and you share that energy of lack and frustration and anger, you're not in your alignment, and therefore you're not in compassion. You're not doing them a favor, right? If you go to that function that you feel, oh, I really have to go, I don't have choice, and we're going to talk about obligation in a minute, and you go to that function and you come home and maybe it was a family function or a situation where it wasn't so safe for you or something was going on for you and you didn't feel good in that situation, and then you come home and you are not able to be there for your babies or for your husband or for your partner, or you feel like you go back into your traumas and you are not doing well. Those things are not, it is who is it compassionate to do that? But we are taught, right? We are taught to watch what we do so that we can accommodate so many others that at the end of the day, our head feels like it's going to explode, because how many can you actually accommodate? And the truth is that if you are accommodating yourself out of a state of unconditional love, if you are meeting yourself so that you can be, as Nicole said, your cup overflowing, then what happens? You can actually not only be there for all those that you want to be there for, whether it's just your family and just your coworkers or a platform, as Nicole talked about, whatever it is, not only you can do that, you can start to become the example for those that you cannot directly affect through your communication, and you do it through your actions, and you do it through your self-love. A lot of times we think, well, I have to do this. I have to be this way for my family. I have to be this person. And the thing is, we don't realize that sometimes when we think that we are doing somebody a favor by catching them, by saving them, sometimes we're actually blocking their process, and we're doing it to our expense, to such an expense that we are not even able to thrive. And then to what example do we give them? To what example and motivation do we give others? If they see us taking care of themselves, they're taking care of them, and then they're not understanding how to do that, right? And I'm not talking about that we can't take care of people, help people in our family, or help people that we love, right? And I'm not trying to stop you guys from doing good for others at all, right? But you know those moments where we stop allowing people to see their own power, right? We stop seeing them as this divine being, and we feel, oh, they can't do it. We don't no longer see them as this amazing soul that they all are. All are equals in energy, different, but strong, and we miss that. And then we give to the point where we have resentment towards the world, that we don't believe in our dreams anymore, that we are exhausted, that we don't think there is a place for us. And that's actually the energetic conversation that we give them. So no, you're not doing them a favor. No, we are not compassionate when we are broken or empty or doing something that is out of alignment for who we really are, right?
Yeah, as Dov was speaking, I was thinking about, Dov and I's story was, oh man, I was a mess, right? So every time I would end up in the hospital from an overdose, or I would leave for 3 days and come home like busted up and hadn't slept. And, Dov would open the door, grab me, feed me, help me like take a shower. She would be there for me. And then what happened was, when I started to get clean, I started to get better, Dov still wanted to be there. And for a moment there, we went through this beautiful cycle, because there was moments where I was like, you know what, babe, I need to do this on my own. Like, I need to get up. I don't feel like an adult. And we talked about it and we expressed it. And what started happening was I started to take my power back. And Dov started to release what she was doing that she didn't have to do anymore. I mean, she didn't have to do it from the beginning. She loved me so friggin' much that she did it because she loved me so much, right? But what happened was, we were able to then all of a sudden, if Dov kept doing those things for me, I would have never grew up. If Dov just kept doing it, and actually, to be honest with you, it wasn't aligned with me anymore, because I didn't feel like an adult. And Dov started to back off a little bit and gave me the space to stand up. And it was I just wanted to share that story because it was such a beautiful dance that we did. I say it was a beautiful dance. It wasn't pretty at times. I would get mad and be like, I'm not a baby! Although my actions were very childlike at times. So yeah.
I love it, and when Nicole brings that up, it makes me also, right, so we're going to keep dancing on each side of the coin. But understanding that there are moments for you to be there for people when they ask for your help, and they need to remember they can stand on their feet, and they need your compassion. And again, coming back to this place, if you are aligned and full, you can actually share that, and you can be there, because there were times where I needed to be there, right? And there were times that we needed each other, and we needed to hold each other up, and there are times that you have people in your life like that, and then there are times that you can actually stand in your own energy. The thing is that when we make misaligned choices, we get misaligned consequences. Yes. Okay? So understand that the consequences are directly responsive to the action, to the choice. So if you're making a decision out of fear, if you're making it out of lack, the consequence is going to be a fear or lack energy coming back to you. And then we start to create this reciprocal sort of back and forth dance between the action and the consequence. When you are acting from a state of abundance, then actually that love that you're giving is actually only kind of coming back to you a millionfold from the universe, because we don't lose love energy, right? You can give. The more you give, it's actually one of the things that's different. The more you give, the more you actually inherently receive from all of existence, right? But in order to actually be able to give and then simultaneously to receive, we have to also know how to give it to ourselves, because then we're learning this real true balance with ourselves. So let's get into some examples of what this can look like, right? So we talked a little bit before. What does it look like if you are staying in a job or leaving a job? You are staying in a relationship or leaving a relationship. You are, whatever it is, because there's the flip side for either one. So let's start with actually a kind of hot topic, which is the relationships, right? Relationships in general. This is a challenging one. How many people, and we're going to look at both sides of it, right? Because again, remember, if you guys are just joining us, remember, we're talking about this grounded in a stationary principle, which is we're talking about alignment for self, okay? So you have to remember that we're talking about love, we're talking about alignment in your internal compass, and so we're not talking about, I don't want you walking away from this conversation going, oh, that means I need to do this or I need to do that, right? Because that's not it. It's about finding that center. Because there are many times you're in a situation, so we're going to talk about relationships, you're in a relationship, maybe you're in a marriage, right? And you say, well, I should stay because it's what men do, or I should stay because it's what moms do, or I should do this because it's the best for the children, or I should do this because I feel bad for my partner, right? And I'm not talking about those moments where this is your strong soul connection or your twin, or you know that you guys are just in a rut. I'm not creating excuses or co-signing crap so that people can run away from their stuff. So, right, we're not talking about that. What we are talking about is when you inherently know that this is not for you, but you're choosing to take a part of you and kill it, put it aside, make it quiet. And you think it's because, what do you think? You think it's because you're being compassionate, right? And again, not for everybody. We're talking about specific situations. You think maybe you're being compassionate. Maybe you're caring about other people. Maybe you're doing them a favor, right? But what is actually happening? You're making a lack-based decision. You're making a fear-based decision. You're making a misaligned decision that has misaligned consequences. So now what is happening? The children are learning that they can grow up without love. They're learning that maybe a relationship or a marriage doesn't have to be something that makes their parents or so them excited about love, right? What is happening? You have another partner that we don't know. Maybe they feel the same way, or maybe they don't and they need to grieve, but there's somebody else out there for them. But because we think, well, they're going to be so hurt, we actually hold them captive, right? We hold ourselves captive. And so the thing is there is actual, there's loss. There's a loss in that choice. Even though we think that we're doing favors, there's a loss, right? And looking at it from the totally opposite end is Nicole and I's situation and a lot of other people's. Being in a situation where it looked really bad on the outside, right? And family pressured us to separate. And loved ones and friends. I had friends tell me that they wouldn't talk to me again, and they never did. I had family members tell me that they would write me off and I had to walk away. Why? Because I knew so deeply that that was aligned for me to stay in that situation. And had I allowed myself to make that choice to walk away because it would be what is better for my family at that moment, some people in my family, right? Maybe what is better for some of my friends, what is better from their perspective, I would have made one of the most misaligned decisions for my soul in my entire life. And this is how you see it play on both ends, because the question again is bringing you back to the principle of alignment for you and how the misalignment is not doing a favor. And this is how it plays out. And these are two very strong examples of how this can play out in the example of relationship.
You know, and I keep hearing it's like, how do I know if this relationship is meant for me? If it's good for me? Like, how do I know? So I'm going to say to both sides that Dov was talking about, like sometime a relationship looks like you need to walk away because you feel like you need to walk away. Because I actually felt like I needed to walk away from my wife. And I really thought it was over when I walked away. But at that moment, I was very authentic in what I was feeling. I was saying to myself, you know what? Right now, it's not there. Right now, I don't feel safe in some stuff that I was trying to work through at the time, and I had to go. And so what I would say to both sides, whether or not you feel like you want to be with someone or whether you feel like you don't, make sure before you make any decisions that you at heart level felt like you gave it everything you could have. Relationships, this specific topic, relationships are friggin' work. It is work. It does not just one day, if things are kind of like not good, it doesn't just one day magically get better because you're meant to be with someone. It's meant that there needs to be some kind of work to see what some of the issues are. Because some of the issues that Dov and I had was we were two walking big wounds trying to love each other, and we kept going to each wound and it wasn't working. And so we had to separate to do some healing work on ourselves, and then we got back together and it was still busted up, and we would get close and then we would get close because there was so many things within ourselves that wasn't going to allow that love that we're talking about in. I wouldn't let it into those places. I didn't trust it. Many of you do not trust yourselves, do not trust the other person, because maybe life, things happen in your life. You made some decisions that would cause you to think that you cannot trust the other person. And I really, really get that. But I'm here to tell you that you can start to trust yourself. This is what we're talking about, alignment. Making decisions that are so aligned with you that they feel so good to you, that things start to shift for you. Yeah. That you start to see, when we start to make decisions that are so aligned with ourselves, you get to see you. You get to really love you. You will actually show up for you. You will look in the mirror and see the change in your face. I remember what my face, I was looking at pictures with Dov yesterday of pictures that were popping up from 6 or 7 years ago, and I don't even look like the same human. Don't even look the same. It was like looking at another person that kind of looked like Nicole. You guys know what I'm talking about. When you look in the mirror and maybe even stuff on the outside's okay, but you're so dying inside that you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't even look like I'm breathing right now. When we're not aligned, when we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to say no at times. Do you know how many times I get phone calls at night or I get a message at night from a friend or a client that is suffering and I'm really tired and I have to let go of guilt and say, I will call you tomorrow. Or I do not respond because I need to sleep so that I can respond. It took me a really long time to get there because my heart would be, if it was an emergency, I would take it. But I'm saying even if it's just I'm really sad, I have to allow myself to sleep. I have to give myself that space because as soon as I wake up, I'm ready. If I were to take that phone call and falling asleep, I will go into resentment. I know it. I know I'll go into resentment. And I deserve to not have to go there. And to have more guilt for having resentment, right? For someone that's not doing well. If you think about it logically, it doesn't make any sense to have to do that. And you guys owe it to yourself to allow yourself to step away sometimes and give yourself that time for yourself.
I love it. So if you guys are just joining us, welcome. We're talking about making decisions from a state that is truly aligned for us, because when we're not doing that, we're actually not doing any others a favor. We're not actually in a state where we're actually being compassionate. So, sparing somebody is not always compassion, right? And so if you're hopping in, make sure you tag some friends, you share this video right now so we can get that message out there and people can hear it. We're excited to see you guys pop in. So one of the things that, Nicole was just hopping into the subject of giving from a depleted state, right? So she was saying, if you're not taking that space for you to actually fill yourself up, you're missing the big picture. You're not able to give from your most present self. You're not actually able to, and you're actually not able to feel that deep level of compassion, right? Because the thing is that compassion is this non-judgmental state of offering and support and understanding, and a very, very highest form of love. And when we're very tired, we're going to fall out of that. When we're very depleted, we're going to fall out of that, right? And we're conditioned to believe that selfishness is this super, super dirty word, right? And selfishness is not actually a dirty word. Selfishness means that yourself has to be taken care of so that you can actually show up, at least in my dictionary, right? Because I have a different term and understanding of the word selfishness and the word responsibility. Okay?
Yes.
We are conditioned as a very, very large conditioning, both throughout history, different types of religion, and so on and so forth, that you are actually just a better person and that you are doing the right thing if you are actually just wearing yourself into the ground, right? Oh, you're sick? Keep giving, right? You gave yourself, you now have cancer and you're dying? You should keep giving. I remember someone told me a story once, and it spoke so much to the way that we believe we should give from a depleted state. They said, I know this woman. She's the most amazing woman I know, right? She had a major, major loss in her life. She lost her child. She didn't grieve. She kept giving, okay? Then she started to get sick. She just kept giving. She had cancer. She kept giving. And at no point did she stop for a second to take care of herself. And that was an example somebody wanted to give me of what they thought an amazing, loving person was. Right? And it made me realize in that moment, not that she's not amazing, not that she's not loving, but that we are taught that if we are not giving to the point where our knuckles are bleeding and our knees are bruised and we have nothing to offer. And I want to talk to you guys for a second about energy and frequency and how that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
If I take care of myself, I'm going to show up for you and I'm going to give you a high level frequency of energy, meaning that the energy that I share with you is going to uplift you. Okay? If I beat myself into the ground and I am deeply sick, not that we cannot or do not sometimes, choose to appear when we're a little under the weather, a little sick. I came and met you guys when I had pneumonia. I wanted to be here with you, but I also took time for myself, right? If I am doing that, I am bringing a different vibration, a different perspective, a different frequency, a different energy. And what I can offer you is not what I could offer you if I'm taking care of myself. But we have so much shame and guilt. We are taught that we can't do that. Maybe you have a dream. Maybe you want to go and do something with your life, but you feel that you can't do that, right? And we're going to talk about obligation now. Obligation. I am obligated to, you're obligated to nothing.
Nothing.
Everything's a choice.
And I love that, is that when we take obligation out of it, it's just a choice. It's just a choice. So if someone calls you late at night and you're like, you know what, I'm taking that call. I don't care how tired I am because I need to take that call. Yeah. It is your choice. It comes from your power. It's just a little correction sometimes. Where we're like, I just have to. I love what Dov says. Even with parents, I am obligated to take care of my kids. No, you chose to have that baby. You choose to get up at night and feed that baby. You choose to hold that baby. You choose to teach that baby. It's your choice. You are not obligated. Because if you wanted to, you could leave the house and leave the baby home. If that was your choice. And that happens sometimes. People make that decision. So it's all a choice. All of it.
And when you come from that choice, now understand, when you come from that choice, it changes everything, okay? Because we're not suggesting at any point that somebody walks away from their babies or does any of that. But when you realize that it's a choice and not an obligation, you leave this energy of suppression, victim consciousness, disempowerment, and you come into the fact that you are so powerful and you're in choice. You let yourself feel into your free will. You let yourself feel into your power. You let yourself feel into your creation. Then you're giving and experiencing from a true state of compassion. You're giving from a state of alignment. You're feeling that alignment because you're in that free will, and that free will is part of your alignment, right? And so I really do say this to you without a joke. There's nothing on this planet that you are obligated to do, right? You might have heard me say that to you before, where I say that you don't have to breathe. You don't. You choose to exist in this body, in this moment, at this time that feels good for you. You are choosing that. And we're glad you're here. So glad you're here because you're so important. But really realizing, and so, you know what? You can allow yourself to realize this and leave this energy of this world is happening to me. I'm a victim. I can't do anything. And if I don't set, and then it goes into boundaries, if you set a boundary, you're not compassionate, you're not nice, people are going to get upset with you. I was speaking to one of you the other day on the phone. And I said, when you are a caregiver and you do it to your state of depletion and you do it from a state of obligation and then you start to take care of you, it's not always a smooth transition.
No.
Okay? People are not necessarily, it's like we train the people in our lives. Understand that you trained them. So when you're like, well, why do they behave this way? Because you created a stimulation to have them behave this way. You trained the people in your life. You are responsible for their reaction. Okay? So when you decide to switch gears and you start driving a different direction on the highway, they're going to have a response.
Woo!
And sometimes that response from your friends and your family and so on and so forth is not, oh my God, I'm so glad you're taking care of yourself. It's, you're a shitty daughter. You're a bad mom. You're a bad partner. I'm disappointed in you. You're selfish. Why are they doing that? Not because they're mean. Not because they're bad people. Because you have trained them to be a certain way, and now they are shocked that it's not happening. But here is what starts to happen in that miracle moment. You can still show up with compassion. You can still show up with them the way you need to. You let yourself make the corrections, and then they also start to do things in a different way for themselves, right? Even if it's the tiniest shift, and you can just keep seeing them in their power because they have so much, right? And so I know that it's a big feat. It's a big feat to start to realize that we're not in obligation. It's a big feat to take our power back and realize that we're not a victim. It is hard, and that victim energy serves us, and it is part of us, some of us, where we're like, you know what? Well, what does it mean if I'm not in that, right? If I'm not in that victim energy, what does it mean? And then there's anger, and there's wounds, and there's work to be done there, right? And so I honor all of you. If you feel like you are struggling with that right now, I honor you. But I want to remind you of your power, and I want to remind you of your free will, and I want to remind you of your choice, because when you come to something with choice, there is so much joy and love and excitement. And I invite you guys, I challenge you all to practice that. What does it feel like if you come to something not from an obligation, but a choice? I heard one of you say, I hate my job. But do you want that paycheck for today? For today, is that the job that you want, right? And maybe your answer is no, but if it is yes, for today, I want to keep that job, then feel into that choice. I choose to go tomorrow because I have an exchange that I want to receive, and I feel that choice. Right? I don't want to go to that family dinner. Okay. And then you give yourself permission not to go in your mind. And then maybe you say, oh, well, I really want to see my niece. Haven't seen her in a few weeks. Really miss her. Haven't seen my aunt 6 months. I'd love to give her a hug, right? And then the boundary can be, maybe you stay an hour. But the thing is, you come into choice. And I can feel you guys coming into that reality and coming into that power for yourselves.
I love that. So I don't know how many times in my life and in my clients' lives, it's like the same story. It's like, there's a wedding, there is a holiday function, and I do not want to go. I cannot stand my in-laws. I cannot stand my family. And so I love what Dov said. It's like, okay, so then don't go. Right? And then they're like, yeah, but then I want to be there. And then all of a sudden the mindset work comes in. Is like allowing yourself to set the mind to go into situations to where there's a way out, or that you have no expectations, that you're just going to be there and to see so-and-so, and that you have that boundary within yourself to make the decision to understand that you could go and everyone can act the way they always act that really aggravates you, but you've set your mind that it's not going to matter if that happens and that you're going to show up anyways and you're going to have a good time. And you know what ended up happening? Exactly that. You know all the key players, you know exactly how it's going to go down, and you don't allow it to harm you. When we go in and say, I have to go, what happens? We lock ourselves into the game that we know that game. We know that story. We know how it's going to play out. Every once in a while we get that miracle where things change and everyone's in a great mood and whatever, but it's oftentimes that we go into the same story. And so loving boundaries, baby, loving boundaries. I remember a long time ago, I had the mindset like, people should just know how to act. I remember when I felt that way, I was like, they should just know what I need, know the space I need or the lack of, they should know, Dov should know, so-and-so should know. Why do I have to tell them? Everyone's boundaries are different. When I'm not doing well, I need space, man. I need to go in my cave, and I need to get zen, and I need to get down to the point, and when Dov's not doing well, she sometimes needs space, but for the most part, she needs to be held. I get that because she set those boundaries with me.
Right.
And when we set those boundaries, and not walls, I'm not talking about walls, I'm talking about the kind of boundary that's translucent, that love could come in and out of, that you could set that space for yourself so that we have to, and it sounds awful, but Dov said we train people. We act a certain way, they understand how we act, and then they figure out how to act, and as soon as you change that piece, everyone starts to get a little, some people get really excited about it, they love that, some people hate it, But you have to hold strong, because if you don't hold strong, there's no possibility for the friggin' thing to change. Yes. And it may take a little bit. But you know what happens in the end? People will respect you because you respect you. When you honor you, people will honor you. When you love you, people will love you. Yes. When you do these things to self, when you are totally abusing yourself, people will abuse you. Yes. It makes no sense at times. You're just like, oh my God, I'm suffering. I'm so sad. Why is everyone beating me up? Because you're beating you up. It is a mirror, as within, so is without. And this is happening. And it's hard to really eat that, but that's exactly, you are literally projecting what's going on inside. You're creating the reality on the outside. So if you are giving yourself those boundaries and you are loving yourself, and today you get off this sermon and you go and do something that you love, and you tell someone that you love them, and you love yourself today, and you go get a massage, or you go take a bath, or you go see a movie, or you go dancing, or you whatever you love to do, or you think about yourself today and you think about, what do I actually need? And start thinking about all the things that you need and deserve. And you start thinking about, oh, well, you know what? All those other things, they're not really okay for me today. I really don't want to accept that in my life. Like, how can I start to... All of a sudden, when we start to focus on all of that, oh my God, the universe starts to focus on us in a very beautiful way. And it notices it, and it wants to love you, and it wants to be there, and it wants to support you. It gets the universe really, really excited when you get excited about yourself. Ooh.
So what's the antidote? It's love, self-love. All of it is self-love, because as you allow yourself to love yourself, as you do that, you also allow the universe's love in, you allow others' love in, you allow yourself to be there for others in a loving way. And it is always true that when we allow ourselves to let go of that obligation, let go of feeling like we're a victim to the situation, and that we want to complain, and everybody, yes, people are not going to change in an instant, but you can change the way you dance with the situation, and the whole thing changes. And your perspective is everything. Your perspective is everything, and I heard some of you guys, out there going, when Nicole was talking about how we really create this dance and we really allow these energies from the way we are treating ourselves, I heard you, then some of you go into self-blame. That's a trick, right? So when you're looking at the situation, just watch your mind as you start to go to yourself, okay, I am allowing other people to treat me this way because I'm treating myself this way. For a lot of people, because they're so conditioned to that self-abuse, they want to go directly into, so everything is my fault. That's a victim program, right? Everything is not your fault, it's your responsibility. There's a big difference between fault and responsibility, because responsibility is exciting, and fault is not real. Fault is based on the concept of good and bad. Fault is the concept of judgment, and fault is there for you to disempower yourself. So if you do that, you're sabotaging. You're sabotaging yourself and your self-power and your free will, and you're catching that you are still in that loop, and that's okay. And so allowing yourself to release that. So if you catch that, that's the next step, because a lot of people start going through that process and they're like, yay, that means this is all my fault and I'm a loser. No, that's the very cycle that I'm telling you to allow yourself to move out of, to allow, again, what's the antidote? Self-love.
Yes.
Come back to the center. What is it? It's about your compass. It's about your center. It's about being aligned. Alignment only has to do with love and abundance and self-expression. So if it is victim energy, if it is judgment, if it is, programming, if it is your wounds, it is your pain body, it is not your alignment. Right? And so you can watch yourself and observe instead of creating that story and creating that judgment to keep you in the loop, because your brain is constantly creating stories to keep you where you are.
Yes.
Your brain is constantly creating stories to keep you exactly where you are.
And we're such beautiful, we're such beautiful creatures that for us, we need to get completely out of alignment to understand what the alignment is. Yeah. So understand that every decision that you have made that maybe you're just like, oh my God, why? Why did I do that? It's okay. It all has meaning. It all has meaning. It's been teaching you, right? We learn through our experience. We learn, we see what feels okay, what doesn't feel okay, what works, what doesn't work. we're like that. You learn from it. We're taking notes in our brains. Like it's all freaking down like a computer. What's happening? What's good? What's not good for us? It's all an experience, and it's all okay. We have a solar eclipse coming, and it's not a full one, but every time we have an eclipse, you see the moon and the sun like crossing each other, and it's like this massive integration of what we're talking about. What's aligned? What's not aligned? Like your love body, your pain body, all these things. And so it wants to just literally just integrate from the moment to allow you just to love yourself and accept yourself as you are right at this moment. You deserve that. Yes. There's something so beautiful in that. Just to accept yourself. It's okay that it's okay right now. It's okay that you created something amazing. It's okay that you created something that you don't like. It's okay. It all has meaning.
I love that so much. So we love you guys and all of the hard work that you're doing. And so if you guys are new, welcome again. And we do have if you guys did catch our sermon last Sunday and that felt really powerful to you, a reminder that we are going to do something special on the 28th. For the lunar eclipse, and we're going to do a 3-hour private version. Understand that this can only happen if you guys are there, because you guys are everything to it. So if you're interested in this, we will post the link above this video, and we will have it on our Facebook page, and we do have the invitation for the actual event on the page as well. So we really do invite you guys come and really understand that is not just about us serving you. It's really about you guys serving each other energetically, and we're going to be able to go into the depths of your energy and the collective. So we really, really, really invite you guys and encourage you to come as service to each other, and not just service to yourself. So if you guys can make it on the 28th, that will be really, really powerful and contingent on all of you. And also, if you're just popping in, join us every Sunday at 11. We also have more exciting stuff coming, so just keep watching out. We're finding new and amazing ways to deliver this message to you guys. So if you don't always have the ability to be on Facebook or so on and so forth, there are going to be more ways for you, like our podcast, to get this message. So if you're hearing this as a podcast or you're hearing this live right now, it is because we are creating more expansive ways for you to hear it. We love all of you so much.
We love you so much. Light and love.
Light and love, guys. Bye.
Bye.